All right, good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, depending on, what time of day you're watching this. My name is Mr. Brown, and I am your AV Principles of Arts AV instructor. And today we're going to be taking a look at our compositing. And what that means is in Photoshop, we do a lot of putting things together, taking images, taking elements from images and putting them all together to make a new image. And so today we're going to start with doing a composite. Now, if you're an online learner, you're going to be using Photopea. So there's going to be a separate video for that. If you're a face-to-face learner, you're going to be using Photoshop. This is the video you need to watch. So there'll be 2 videos posted on the website today. Make sure you're watching the right one. This one is for Photoshop. The next one will be for Photopea. So for my face-to-face learners, you guys actually started recording, not recording, but you guys actually started doing pictures last week. So those of you that volunteered, you got your picture taken. And those pictures are now uploaded onto a Google Drive. You should be able to find a link for those in the class, on the class website, also on Google Classroom. So you'll be able to find those photos. So what you're going to be doing is starting with looking at the photos of yourself and deciding what kind of background you want. If you did not take your photo, well, you're going to be stuck with the picture I chose. So the picture I chose for you guys is, let me show you really quick. The picture I chose for you guys to use is this wonderful, delightful photograph of one of the most amazing people ever, Keanu Reeves, as John Wick. And this is just a download from Google, so it's not the best quality image, but we need to think about what kind of image we want in the background. So to do that, I need to show you guys how to look for higher quality images on Google first. Second, I'm going to show you how to get started with doing something like this in Photoshop. And third, I'm going to show you how to cut Keanu Reeves out and talk to you a little bit more about what the assignment is for today. So let's go ahead and go back to the computer and check out what we're going to be doing today. All right, so first thing we need to do is, I know what background I want. I want to see Keanu Reeves walking away from an explosion. It's pretty classic. I don't need to do a lot. So I'm just going to type in explosion into Google and hit search and see what we can get. Not a lot. So let's go to images, and you should always go ahead and go to the images tab when you're looking for images. Oh, great. Awesome. So we have a lot of explosions, and some of them are nuclear. That's not going to help a whole lot. So the thing we need to keep in mind is we need an explosion that kind of matches what Keanu Reeves is doing. So these explosions that are way far away aren't going to help a whole lot. That's not going to help much at all. There's another factor we need to consider, though. The thing about Google is when you search, it brings up every possible image, that it can find, regardless of size, regardless of shape, regardless of anything. The bad thing is some of these images may be like this little bitty, like really, really small. So we need to look for images that are larger. So let's go back to our search window, and I want all of you to do this every time from now on for the rest of your lives for this class. If we're downloading an image, go to settings. Go to tools. I lied to you. Don't go to settings. Go to tools on Google. And you're going to search for size, or you're going to change the size to large. And that's going to give you a bigger photograph. And when you just click on an image, it's going to, let's click on this image right here. If you mouse over the image, you can see the size right down here. And it's probably really small on my screen, but it's 1200 by 1200. And that is the measurement of how big the pixels are. 1200 by 1200. And it looks like my camera might have frozen. There it goes. So we measure things in pixels, and we're going to talk more about that this week. But pixels are what we're measuring. And I'm going to try to find an image that matches the look we're going for. This one is close, but the quality is really bad. So I'm just going to search through here. Close this again. This is probably the hardest part of compositing, putting things together, is finding your background image. Some of you may know exactly what you want. Some of you may be having to figure it out. And that's what I'm doing right now, just so I could kind of show you the process. Man, there are a lot of images of explosions. And so I'm just going to pick a random one, and we're just going to go with, what is this? This looks like an explosion. It's a pretty good sized explosion. So here's how you do this. This is important. How you download the file from Google makes a big difference, because even though it says, like this one says, 4928 by 3820, which is a good sized photograph, if you don't download it the right way, you're going to end up with a thumbnail, which is one of these little bitty tiny files, and it's not going to really work for us at all. So I'm going to click on the image. It's going to open up the web page. And then I'm going to right click, and I'm going to hit Save Image to Downloads. And this is getting the image from the source. If you're on a Chromebook, this may be slightly different. But I'm going to click Save Image to Downloads, and it's going to go to my Downloads folder. So, no time. I don't want to subscribe to you. Close. Here's the other thing that we need to do. Normally what we do is we open, we've been opening the image so that we can get the Photoshop canvas set up to the same size as our image. The problem is, and I don't want you to get confused about this, we need to open up our background image, because we want our canvas to be the same size as our background. If not, the background is going to look terrible. And we may run into problems with that if your original image isn't high enough quality. So I'm going to come to File, and I'm going to, well, not File, but I'm going to go to Open, and I'm going to, of course, change my thing to Downloads. I have a lot of downloads in here. So it's going to take me a minute to find my downloads of Mr. Keanu Reeves. I actually have no idea what the file is named, so I'm going to have to, John Wick 2. So these are in alphabetical order, so I'm going to look for John Wick, H-I-J-K, John Wick 2. There it is. Oh, I found it. Here we go. Oh, but remember, I almost messed up. I just said one thing and did the exact opposite. We need to download our explosion. I mean, we need to open our explosion image. So this one's called Antares Explosion, which is a kind of a cool name. Sounds like the name of a cool rock band. But I'm going to go back and I'm going to find my Antares Explosion. And that's it right there. That's looking good. So I'm going to open it in Photoshop, because we want our Photoshop composition to match our background image. That way there's no weird pixel distortion, no crazy things that are going on. So and I got an error message. It says the pixel aspect ratio for preview, turn it off. Okay, don't show again. That's weird. Never gotten that before. All right, so it did not open my image correctly. It looks awful. But we're going to go ahead and go with it. We'll just make it work. So it kind of scrunched it up and made it a square. That's really weird. So I'm gonna tell you what, we're gonna try to close this, and we're gonna try to open it again. See if we can get this to open the right way. So we're back at downloads. We're gonna come back over here to Antares, and then we're gonna open it. It does the exact same thing. So yeah. All right. Well, that's a weird thing. All right, we're just gonna go ahead and go on with it because we got stuff to do today. All right, next thing I'm gonna do is I need to add my overlay image. So here we go. I'm just going to drag and drop John Wick on top of this. It is really messing everything up. So, wowzers. I'm going to have to stretch this out. This is a bad example. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to download a whole nother image because this looks terrible. I'm going to start this over. So, I'm just going to close this. Don't save. I'm going to come back over here, and I'm just to my Safari. I'm going to find a whole nother image. I don't know what Time Magazine's doing, but don't download images from Time. They just did not work out. Here's another explosion. I'm just going to download this one really quickly. This looks pretty cool. It's a much smaller image, 1400 by 920, but we're going to make it work. It's from Popular Mechanics. Oh, it kind of looks like an interesting article. Oh, this is also from Pinterest, so this may not work. I have found that Pinterest images just do not work. Oh, it did work. Okay, we're good. So I'm going to come back over here to Photoshop. I'm going to go open. Here's my image right here. I'm going to hit open again. That looks much better. And now I'm going to come down to my downloads, and I'm just going to drag my John Wick picture over and drop it. Okay, so in Photoshop, when you add an image, it does this thing where it gives you the ability to edit, stretch, change the shape of your image, and it does that right out of the box. So we're going to just kind of shrink it a little bit and try to get it to the size we want it to get to. And when you're done, you have to click enter. And if you look at my image, I've shrunk it a little bit, but you can see that it's got these lines going across it. That means that it is in like adjustable mode. And we want to try to kind of lock it down when we get it where we want it. So we can always change the size, but we're just going to get it where we want it and hit enter. Okay, so over here, there is something that has happened. The way Photoshop does this is it has given us a smart object. So there are some limitations to how smart objects work, but that's okay. We're going to be all right because we're just going to create a mask. So what I'm going to do is zoom in. Hello, John Wick. And I'm going to use my pen tool to draw around him. And I'm going to do this really, really quickly. And the reason why is because I want you to be able to do some work in class today. But what you're going to do with your pen tool is what you've done all throughout the last couple of weeks, where you're just selecting and, you're drawing around your individual, and you want to get the most accurate selection you can get. I'm going to go ahead and cheat, and I've got mine mostly selected. But you're going to use your pen tool. I kind of messed it up a little bit, but we're going to just get this in here. Uh-oh, I'm having all sorts of problems. You're going to use your pen tool to trace around your subject so you get a really, really accurate selection. Mine is not very accurate, and you're going to see that in a moment. So now that I've got this done, we need to create a mask. So down here at the very bottom, there's a button, that a little icon that has a square with a circle inside of it, and I'm going to add that layer mask. So I'm just going to click it. And as you can see, mine did kind of okay, not the best job. So definitely use your pen tool. I kind of cheated and used something else, but you guys want to use your pen tool and get the most accurate selection you can get. From here, I'm going to move him around. I'm going to come up to the very top, click the selection tool, and now I can kind of move Keanu Reeves around, and he may need to be resized. If you need to resize him, with your selection tool selected, way up here in the top, there's a button that should say Show Transform Controls. Make sure that's clicked. It's not always clicked. Once you click it, it should stay on, but make sure it's clicked. From here, you can just kind of mouse over the corner and drag it, drop it, kind of position it wherever you want it. I feel like to make this look more accurate, it needs to be slightly smaller. However you want to position it. Maybe he's just like walking away, like, I blew this up, what's up? So your assignment today is to take at least 2 images. So I have an image of John Wick and I have a background. I want you to maybe download some other images. Maybe you could download pieces flying off, like a car or a building, or if you're doing something like this. You can composite. You don't have to do an explosion. You don't have to do John Wick. You can use any background. It can be a cartoon background. It can be whatever background you want. But I want you to use at least 2 different images. Your subject image, which you're going to be pinning out, and your background image. And so what you're going to do is make me a composite, and then I want you to add a text layer. So you need to have at least 2 layers, a pinned out subject. So you're going to use your pen, you're going to pin around them, you're going to hit make selection, and then you're going to hit the mask tool that we talked about. And then you're going to have your background image in the back. And then if you want to add other layers to make a better dynamic, that's fine. And then I want you to add a text layer, and you can have it say whatever you want to say. I'm going to go ahead and add, you know, oh my goodness, my font is so big. So I'm going to change my font size down. And I'm just going to put something really stupid, and I'm going to change my font. I'm going to put, I said no onions. I don't know what that means, but I'm just going to add, I need to change my leading. I need to change my arrangement, and I need to move it around. So I'm going to click my selection tool, and that's my image. Wow, that looks pretty good. It doesn't actually look really good. It actually looks terrible. There's a lot of things I would have fixed if I were doing this like professionally. And what I'm going to be looking for in your assignment is a nice quality work. I'm looking for good quality pen work so that the selection of your subject is clean. If you look at mine, I've got all sorts of edges here on John Wick. It looks awful. Look at all this. Oh, it's just, I didn't even get that off. Oh my goodness, his hands. That's why you have to use the pen tool. You have to use the pen tool. Use the pen tool. When you get it done, go to make selection, use the mask. It makes it way, way, way better. So yeah, I'm looking for a well-masked subject, a background that is neat, and if you want to add more objects to your image, please feel free. The more objects you add, the more interesting, the more better, and I'm looking for a text of some sort. So those things. When you're done, you're going to do the same thing we always do. Go File, Save it. Okay, let's hold on. Let's pause really quickly. If you don't get finished with this today in class, you need to save a working file. So let's do that first. Say I don't get done. Oh, the bell's about to ring. I need to save my work. Go to File, Save As. And I'm going to name this John Wick. And you need to make sure that you're saving it to a place you can find it, and you need to make sure the format says Photoshop right here. It has to say Photoshop. And if it doesn't say Photoshop, you're not going to be able to make adjustments to it later. Like it's done, it's saved, it's uneditable after that. You have to start completely over again. So make sure it says Photoshop and then just click Save. So I am done. So I'm going to go to File, Save As, change the name to something you can remember. Change the format to JPEG. We're going to almost always be using JPEG, and there's one instance we might use PNG files, but mostly we're going to use JPEG. So when you're done, just click Save. This is going to pop up. Make sure that it says Quality 12 and hit OK. And that's it. You're done. You submit it on Google Classroom, and that's pretty much it for you. So just to recap, today we're going to be compositing images. You're going to cut out an image of yourself or this image of John Wick. You're going to find a background on Google that you can use to make essentially something interesting out of two or more photos. You can Google other images and other photographs. You're going to open your background image in Photoshop first. You're going to drag and drop. You're going to make adjustments. Then you're going to use the pen tool to make a selection. So you're going to go with pen tool, make selection at the top of the button, and then you're going to add a mask by clicking the rectangle with a circle in it. And then you're going to add a text layer that says something clever, catchy, fun, interesting, cute, whatever you want it to say. It's fine. It's your creation. You're going to save it as a JPEG and submit it to me on Google Classroom. I hope that was sufficient of an explanation. I did go through it really fast, but you can always ask me questions if you're confused. All right, guys, that is it for today. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, raise your hand. I will come around and help you, and we'll get through this and learn how to do some more neat things with compositing as the week goes on. I hope you guys have a great Monday, and I will see y'all later.